Howdy, folks. I'm Rebellious Raspberries, relentlessly rushing to reveal ridiculous riddles.
I'm Amber.
And here are more ridiculous riddles for us to reveal. More at the end of the video. And folks, also, what else more do we have at the end of the video? We have information about our live stream that's coming up on Friday. We hope to see you then. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Giving a Homeless Guy with a Dog only dog food? This happened yesterday outside of Walmart by the parking lot exit red light. I see a homeless guy, late 20-ish, with his dog. I've seen this guy before, but I've never seen him with a dog before. I would say that I have a high confidence that this guy has substance use problems, due to seeing him nodding off while standing up and having tweaker eyes. All that is fine. It's not any of my business. It's not my life. I bring it up to say that I've never given him any money, and I would not in the future. However, because he had a dog with him, I decided that I would grab a 12-pack of dog food cans with the pop tops for easy opening. They last a long time and are somewhat mobile versus a 30-pound bag of kibble. When exiting, I rolled down my windows and I handed him the 12-pack of cans. He looked a little bummed, but still said thanks, and I was on my way. I was telling my wife, and she said that giving him only dog food implies that I expect him to eat that too, and that's dehumanizing. It wasn't my intent at all, but there is no scenario where I'm giving hard-earned money to someone who I'm almost positive is on substances. So in my opinion, it's either the dog food by itself or nothing at all. He would be well within his rights to decline my offer as well. He has no obligation to accept the cans. I will add that my wife has never once in her life given money to a homeless person at a red light, despite many opportunities. She, and usually I, prefer to donate to charities or organizations. Either way, am I the jerk? While I'm not trying to influence the votes, I will add that if you determine that I was in the wrong, I will not purchase dog food for him any longer. If you feel that I'm in the clear, I may do this for his dog on the regular as I can afford to. Alright folks, what do you think about this?
I mean, first of all, Opie's the jerk for his emotional blackmail at the end of the post. Like, that's really not cool.
Yeah.
And his whole attitude here is really gross, and dehumanizing. Like, yes, dogs need to eat, but so do people. And, first of all, just like assuming someone is using substances is not a cool thing to do. But even if he is, he still deserves food. He still deserves to live. And, like, no one's saying you have to go hand him money, but, like, if you're more concerned about feeding his dog than feeding him, that's kind of a problem.
So, I mean, I think certainly, like, OP should have also included food in the, his handout, right? Because I think that feeding the dog is one thing, certainly, but I think also giving him a couple of cans of tuna fish or something like that would have probably also given him the idea that you weren't just expecting him to eat the dog food.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it could give the wrong impression. Like, some people are really nasty and mean to people who are homeless, right? And he may read this as you saying, haha, have some dog food, you dog, right?
Right, well, and the other alternative is that I see your dog as more worthy of life than you.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly the messages that those types of actions send. So I don't think that OP was wrong for giving the dog food. I think that he probably should have considered the man's well-being. I also think that judging him and saying that, well, maybe he's on substances is, that's not his place to judge that, I don't think. But I don't necessarily have a good answer other than I don't think that this was the best choice that OP had here.
Certainly, and I really want OP to reevaluate why he looks down upon people with substance use disorder so heavily. Like, it's a disorder. It is not something that people can control. And, like, the best way to help people overcome, because usually substance use disorder manifests because people are trying to fill some kind of void in their life. They are self-medicating depression or anxiety, or they have no sense of community or purpose, and they're trying to kind of fill a void. And so more community supports and treating people like humans who are worthy of things might actually help.
The fact of the matter is that it's really hard to judge someone who is addicted to stuff, because at a certain point, I'm sure that they've thought about their life. I'm sure that they've, think back to moments in their life and are like, I made some bad decisions and I would love to have a redo of life, right? So I think that it's important to remember that people who are homeless and people who are addicted to substances, they're human too. They still have feelings, they still have emotions, and I'm sure that they want better for their life as well. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Bitter Glass 321 says, not the jerk, I highly doubt that the homeless guy actually thought that you would give him dog food, expecting him to eat it. He has a dog, you got him dog food. You and your wife are overthinking it, not going to lie. And Competitive Delay 865 says, I'm going to reserve my judgment on this one, but I think that you should consider the feelings of the human being involved here. You told him that you value his life as lower than the dog because of his addiction. You've dehumanized him by giving him food that is designed for the animal that he is with, instead of food that you both can eat. You had many options here, and you chose the one that invoked those feelings. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, I'm a 34-year-old male, and my wife, a 35-year-old female, rehomed our dog while I was on a work trip. How do I move on from this? My wife and I have been together for 12 years, and we have 2 kids, 6 years old and a 3-year-old, and one on the way. Surprised, but not unwelcome. My wife is a stay-at-home mom, and I travel for work a lot. Obviously, my wife is stressed out because she feels stretched thin, and I do what I can when I am at home. But unfortunately, finding a new job isn't possible right now. Before we had kids, we adopted a dog, Leo, and we adored him. We both took care of Leo and we treated him like our own. But after the oldest came, I basically had to take care of Leo by myself. My wife was too preoccupied with our kid to feed him or take him on walks, which is understandable, but it was stressful as during that time I didn't travel for work, but I worked long hours and sometimes Leo would spend most of the day inside. When our 3-year-old was born, my wife seemed to have a better handle on juggling the kids, plus our dog. Of course, I did what I could, but most of the homemaking and dog care fell on my wife since that's her domain. But everything seemed to be fine. Fast forward to today, our 3-year-old is a boy through and through. He loves Leo, but he's rough with him. His pets are more like hitting, and he grabs Leo's tail, and he can be rough on him. We've redirected our son and showed him how to treat Leo, but again, he's 3 years old, so there's going to be some issues. He seems to be getting better, but my wife doesn't think so. And a few months ago, she told me that she wanted to rehome Leo. Of course, that suggestion caused a lot of arguments. There was a lot of back and forth. We all love Leo and would be devastated if he went somewhere else. But my wife is terrified that something will happen to the 3-year-old. She says that once the newborn is here, she won't have any time to focus on redirecting our middle child, and he could go too far. I think that we have time to teach our 3-year-old to be gentle, but she didn't agree. It has caused a large strain on our marriage and her pregnancy, which I get, but I just want us to be a happy family. Well, fast forward to today, I come home from a work trip, and the kids and wife greet me, but not Leo. I asked my wife where he was, and she said that he is at his new home. I think that she is joking, obviously, so I laugh, but she sits me down and explains that she moved Leo to her parents' house. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and I started to cry uncontrollably. My wife tried to comfort me, but I yelled at her to get away from me. It's like she gave her kid up for adoption. Eventually, after a lot of yelling and crying, I left, and I'm now in a hotel room. I don't know how I could forgive my wife for this betrayal. I mean, I knew that she was struggling, but get rid of our dog? How do I move on from this? Alright folks, what do you think of this situation?
I mean, OP, you have to, at the end of the day, think about what is in the best interest of both your son and the dog. Having a kid who is being aggressive with a dog is not good for the dog in the first place. And your wife is absolutely right that he could become a danger to your child. And it seems like OP isn't able to do as much minding of the dog as he needs to be able to. They haven't been able to train the son out of this. And OP's wife is absolutely right that once she has another kid running around, she's not going to have all her eyes on the 3-year-old all the time.
This is a really, really difficult situation, and I have a hard time blaming either person here. I think that OP has every right to be upset, but I also think that the wife has every right to want to look out for the safety and well-being for the child as well. And with OP being gone as much as they are, maybe he's not seeing the more terrifying side of things, right? Maybe the dog has growled and barked or even nipped at the 3-year-old, and she's scared that the dog is going to go further. That's all information that would be really good to know in this case, because if that's the case, I would say that she would be perfectly justified in rehoming the dog, especially to a family member where they can go and visit the dog.
Well, that's the other thing. It's not like the dog was given to, a shelter or somewhere where it might be abandoned and not have a home. It's with family. They're still going to be able to interact with the dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the responsible decision if they're not able to care for the dog. Because it seems like he was expecting too much from his wife. And so the only other option would have been for him to choose a job where he's actually able to be home and look after the dog
Yeah.
and make sure that the dog isn't going to harm the 3-year-old.
Yeah, this is a really regrettable situation. I understand why OP's upset, but I think his wife also needed to do something to protect their child, especially if she felt like he was in danger. And kids can be rough on animals, and if this kid is particularly rough on animals, then it really isn't good for either the animal or the child at a certain point, and like what you were saying.
Yeah, well, presumably at the parents' house, the dog is going to have a much more relaxed lifestyle and not be hit by an energetic child.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's really bad to be hit by a child. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's an animal. It doesn't deserve to be abused like that. And I mean, no, the kid isn't intending to be mean, but maybe if they can't figure out how to be nice to the dog, it is time for the dog to find a better home, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I have a hard time passing judgment on either person in this situation. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Baruthi999 says it could be a lot worse. Leo wasn't dumped at a shelter where he might be put down or given to strangers, so you'll never see him again. He's with your wife's parents, and he's still in the family. As a child of dog people, I'm suspicious of your boys will be boys attitude when it comes to your son playing with Leo roughly. Yes, it is possible to teach a 3-year-old of any gender in no uncertain terms not to do this, but you use your job as a get out of childcare rearing for free card, and it sounds like so all the responsibility to do all of this falls on your wife. Not only does she have 2 small children, but she is pregnant and will give birth soon, and then she'll have a newborn as well. Your wife is overwhelmed, and it doesn't sound like you've given much hands-on help at home. She's afraid that Leo could hurt one of the kids, or that one of the kids could really hurt Leo. Both of those are possibilities. The in-laws place is the best place that she could have sent him. It's not a betrayal, it's her opinion of the best choice to make for the whole family, which includes Leo and her parents.
Well, I think that's important too. The boys will be boys thing. Like, children of any gender should not be abusing animals, and the fact that he's a boy doesn't excuse his behavior.
Yeah. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Making My Son Live with 6 Cats? My son, a 15-year-old male, has a phobia of cats. He can't explain why, but he's petrified of them. My daughter, a 10-year-old female, loves animals, and a few months ago, we took in some stray cats mainly for her. I wanted them to come and live in the house, but my son threatened to leave the house and not to come back unless we got rid of the cats. The compromise was that we kept the cats in our summer house at the back of the garden. My son accepted this, but the cats often get into the house whenever the door or window is left open for any amount of time. My son has had panic attacks whenever he sees the cat in the house, and he screams for them to be taken out of the house. I told him that he needs to get over his fear, and I offered hypnotherapy, but he doesn't want that and doesn't even believe in it. He refuses to go near them or even look at them most of the time. He makes sure that all the cats get locked in the summer house before he leaves the house, no exceptions. He keeps telling me that he shouldn't have to live around the cats and it's unfair to him. My daughter loves them and would be devastated to see them go. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, you're the jerk for bringing in animals your child has a phobia of. Like, I understand that you and your daughter like cats, and like, don't get me wrong, I love cats too, but you have another person living in that house who is entitled to have a safe space to live. And it doesn't sound like Opie has done anything to help him with his phobia either. Telling someone to get over it and offering hypnotherapy are not like sound options. One, you can't just get over phobias. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to choose not to be phobic today. Like, if it was that easy, then people wouldn't have phobias.
Yeah.
He needs real therapy with a licensed therapist, and that may not even be a cure-all.
Yeah. Well, I know that some people have had success with hypnotherapy, right? And that's certainly not to say that hypnotherapy will work for every single person, because if it was a surefire way to cure all phobias, then everyone would be lining up down the street to get hypnotherapy done, right? And it isn't a one size fits all thing, and there are certainly, I think people who find those things more effective than others. And I think that sit down and cognitive behavioral therapy has a lot of strength and has been shown to be very successful for a lot of people. And I think that's why it's generally the kind of gold standard when it comes to therapy. And if your son doesn't want to do hypnotherapy, then you shouldn't be forcing him into hypnotherapy. And instead, like Amber said, get him to a therapist who will do something like cognitive behavioral therapy.
Or exposure
Yeah.
therapy. Like there are a number of therapy options that a licensed professional would be able to help him
But
explore.
yeah, but it's a long process and it isn't going to happen overnight. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that what OP is looking for here is a quick band-aid. They're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
no, just go to the hypnotherapist and you'll be better tomorrow type of thing, right?
Right, which is not how therapy generally works. It's going to be take him a long time to come get over this phobia if he does at all. And sometimes it may just be managing it better, but you're probably not going to be able to have 6 cats palling around in your house anytime soon.
Well, then the audacity of getting 6 cats on
Mm-hmm.
top of that. It's not even just like one cat that's kept in the, back room or back house, summer house, right? It's 6 cats that the poor kid has to, like, wait around to see if they are around or not, right?
Right. Well, and a child's home should be their safe space,
Yeah.
and Opie has made it so that he doesn't have a safe space.
hmm So I do think that OP is in the wrong here. I think that they are prioritizing one child's needs and wants over another child's, and that's not a good thing to do. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the banana visit the doctor?
The banana visited the doctor because it was a little upset about how its peel was coming undone, and it was hoping that the doctor could give it stitches, but it said that, sorry, this isn't possible to be cured. You're just going to have to get eaten.
Oof, that's much darker. It wasn't peeling well.
Oh, it wasn't peeling well. It sure wasn't. It sure wasn't. And I have the special guest tea, more matcha today. Will Brian switch special guest teas? Who knows? All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, terrific Tuesday, spelled TWO. I had to remember for a second what day of the week it even is. And folks, we have a live stream coming up on Friday, so we hope to see you then. But Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, pretty please, have it on pets.
Pets can be wonderful and valued family members, but you have to consider the needs of your human family too.
I think that's good advice. I think that's good advice. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.